Welcome to another episode of Fatherhood. So what do you do when it all comes crashing down? Well, that's a great question for my guest, Porter. Or should we call him PJ? That's from his past life where he was out there kind of doing his thing. Come on and hop in with us and take a ride. We're going to go from his upbringing to meeting his dad in the streets to wanting to be like his dad, going state to state, doing his thing, until coming to a place where he hit a brick wall, then redeeming himself, now being a published author and entrepreneur, a family man who's making great impact. You don't want to miss this episode of Fatherhood.
He got shot and killed. I didn't find out that he wasn't my dad until I was 5. So from like 5 to age 9, then I don't technically have a dad. I get what's called Juvenile Life, which means you're gone till you're 21. You can't be a hustler and a gangster. Like one or the other.
What's up, family? Welcome to another episode of the Fatherhood Podcast, where we are breaking cycles. We're building families. I have today with me an amazing guest, Mr. Porter J. Foster. What's up, Mr. Porter?
I'm good, brother. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We're glad to have you on with us, man. Appreciate you making the trip to come be with us on the pod today.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're excited what you're going to share, man. I know there's some guys that are going to be watching this, and I'm sure they're going to be tremendously impacted by your story. So I like to start off with just this blanket question. You can fill in the blank. Who is Porter?
I think Porter is grown. I'm a dad, been a husband, grandfather now. So Porter is a little different than PJ, what they used to call me.
We're going to talk about PJ in a minute. Yeah, we want to know about PJ too.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
all
sir.
right.
Man of God. I call myself a man of God. Yes, sir.
I love all those descriptions, man. I love that, but to get to Porter, you got to come through PJ, huh?
That's true.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. So there's all purpose for it all. You know what I mean? Let's go back, man. Let's go all the way back. Talk to us about this upbringing. This is fatherhood. So What was that life like as a child, and the family dynamics and those kinds of things?
Well, I'm named after my grandfather.
Okay.
And so I didn't find out that he wasn't my dad until I was 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so the lunchroom ladies thought, so I'm from East Gaston, the lunchroom ladies thought that my grandfather was like 46 years old. I think they had tried having a child early 70s. My grandmother had diabetes, so only the oldest 2 children lived, my mother and my aunt. And so my mother tells me that he's her dad. And so from like 5 to age 9, then I don't technically have a dad. I've heard of who my father is.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah.
So how you even process that, man? I mean, and it's probably maybe hard to describe, as a 5-year-old.
I don't think I did until I was like 40. To really come back and ask her why did she share that, or what was her thinking about that? My grandparents were gone. I later found out that it wasn't really he didn't think that was a good idea. And so, yeah.
What was her thought? Why did she decide that was the time?
She said she didn't want me to find out in the street. Yeah. So I mean, that's
gotcha. Yeah.
That's relevant, I guess.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. She made the best call she could make.
Right. Yeah.
What she thought was the best call.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So you find this news out. You're devastated. You're shocked. You just kind of go on with your day. What does that look like?
Some of everything. I think that's kind of blank. I met him when I was 9, and
so you met
I met my
biological father when you were 9.
Yeah,
okay.
When I was 9, and I mean he was cool. He looked like Deion Sanders before Deion was out. He had Jerry curl,
man.
gold chain, shirt unbuttoned.
Yeah.
But so I got to spend a weekend with him. This is 84. I think it's 84. And he got shot and killed probably about 2 years later after I met him. So I was 11.
Wow.
And that was in East Gaston as well. So now my grandfather was a pastor, so I had, good upbringing, like the right thing. It's a generation gap there,
Right.
of course. But man, I was trying to find who looked like my father, and so
Yeah.
they would, generally at the stove on the corner, and I can't say that was all that was to him.
Yeah.
Definitely, I found out that it wasn't, but I couldn't wait to get off the porch, man. I was
Yeah.
trying to, yeah.
Yeah. So, man, you said a lot even in that. I don't know if as fathers, and I think I'm still kind of learning this myself as a father, how much of an imprint you make on your children to where they pursue what they see as the image of you. Sometimes it's like even like unknowingly. You know what I mean? You hear these stories of people who didn't even grow up with their dad and they still gravitate towards the same types of things.
Right.
So your estimation as a 9-year-old of this is who my dad is, okay, I got to find that next.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. How were you dealing with finding out my granddad is not my dad? Then now, okay, well, I met my dad 2 years later. Oh, my dad's gone. How are you dealing with that at that age?
I think it was kind of blank. I mean, I was in the house with my granddad, so they adopted me. So let's go back to that.
Okay.
So like my biological parents aren't on my birth certificate, and that's born in '73. So I don't know if that was legal or that's just what they were doing on that. But so in my reflection of it, they are my parents. Like he was my dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So coming to terms with that, I call my father my father. I know some people feel right the opposite about that, but to me, dad is more intimate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So you said you go through this period, and then now you're like, I'm kind of looking for the dad I thought I met.
I think my grandfather had to have a lot of patience with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I know he did. Because I was doing everything I was big enough to do.
Yeah. So tell me about the start of that. You said I was ready to jump off the porch, man. I'm ready to go. So how did it start?
Man, crack came to Gaston quick, but it was I was selling
I think it came everywhere
at
quick.
13.
Wow.
Had a pager, had a pistol that I didn't know how to shoot, and I used to make these little runs. As a little boy.
Yes. So do you think the root of that was the lifestyle, the money, what you thought you saw in your dad, or was it just trying to bury the pain? Or
probably, I wasn't in no pain at that point.
There wasn't no pain.
It was just
it's
like
attractive, huh?
The thought of, man, I could buy my own J's.
Yeah.
It wasn't constant. It was, here and there.
Yeah. I get that, man. I can vividly remember as a child those who we thought had it, In hindsight, they wasn't doing what they supposed to. They were doing, when they came through, and you saw different types of vehicles,
Right.
Upper echelon type of clothing and this, that, and the change. You're like, man, you're enamored by what all that looks like. Of course, you don't see the backside of that.
Right.
But as a child, you're not processing all that. You're just like, I want those things.
Right.
And what it takes to get that.
Yeah, and I can't. For me, like, my grandfather worked there Goodyear, so it wasn't the money. It was more or less being attracted to that, like those people or that background. Now, we can say we were in the hood, as much as, I would call it, I won't even say, like, it's not big city, but it had all the elements, inside of it. So, the people that we just took for granted that had the felonies or had all the things that we just like, they right there like normal. It's nothing that would excite us. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and when you get involved in
anything pretty much, but especially a different type of lifestyle like that, most times you grow deeper into it. You know, it progresses, and what was satisfying at one level is not. You want to go further and that type of thing. So talk about the progression.
Well, sports would help, or it was probably girls first that could be a distraction from some of that.
Yeah.
But I ended up moving away, and as long as I could kind of be involved in sports, that would kind of keep, you hear about a lot of guys, one foot in the street, one foot on the field or stuff like that. So that would help, but I moved so many times consecutively, like I kept missing football season. And that just became discouraging. So by the time I got there one year, I didn't even run track that year either. It's just like, forget it. And so I end up, kind of gravitating. I had this guy that I met, I was in Tennessee then, and his folks were kind of involved in, I don't say it's syndicate stuff, but I don't even want to bring it up to make somebody think they want to start trying to do what they had going on. But it was still illegal. And then something happened where he just kind of got removed from my life. So then I ended up getting to play football and run track that year, and had probably more success in track. We had old school football coaches, so you weren't going to start over the seniors. Right. That was just part of it. And the progression was, I found out I had a heart condition my senior year. So now I can't play football and can't run track. And so then it was just natural to kind of go all the way back toward that. I didn't have anybody to kind of process that with, because I thought I was going to run track at a school. They were kind of telling me that I was going to be offered a scholarship. And so when that didn't go, I didn't know how to deal with that.
Wow. So you just went kind of to the
all the way.
I might as well just go all the way with it.
All the way.
Yeah. So in the meantime, are your grandparents, / parents, do they know anything's going on with anything? I know you said they had to have some patience with you.
Nah, because I'm in Tennessee, they in Alabama at that point.
Okay.
So that's my kind of, not my first time being with my biological mother, but we kind of can butt heads. So, that it culminates saying, hey, if you don't want to go by my rules, you can get out. And I probably had my bags packed. So I'm 17 and I'm gone now.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's a recipe for some bad stuff.
Some bad stuff that happened,
Yeah.
Yeah, so you decide you're going all the way in, going 10 toes deep.
I'm gone. I guess. I don't know, 10 toes. I don't know if I know about 10 toes.
Nine, you going to leave.
Probably 8.
Probably 8 toes.
Big toes.
Okay, yeah, all right, we're going to leave them toes. We'll keep
but I thought I was.
You thought you were. You thought you were. So what happened? I mean, you're.
And I got in trouble. I got sent off to Juvenile.
Wow, okay. Tell us what.
So I don't go into all the details.
Yeah, you don't have to go into details,
but I was, I got sent off, and I got, so in that, I get what's called Juvenile Life, which means you're gone till you're 21. And was at something that's like a max camp place first. But because I had finished high school, which was another one of those things, kind of like y'all mentioned before, I turned 18, so I ended up going to Juvenile to jail from there. And actually, my English teacher, because I didn't finish school, I got arrested like a month before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my English teacher, hey, you passed. I had an economics teacher that came. And I didn't even really know him, and to think of him, he didn't seem like we didn't look the same. So for him to have come to the jail and give me my exam was really different. So as a result, I ended up with a high school diploma. So where I get sent off, that's one of the things that they were providing. And so I would help cats write grievances. So they kind of got me out of there. It was a really racist place. It's closed down now. But it was bad. It was a graveyard on site. It was right next to the regular prison, they tell us every day 85% of y'all going over there.
Wow.
They let you fight till you knocked them out and woke them back up. Like it was tough.
Wow.
But I got sent away from there because having a diploma. Various things is God, but those things that I can point to, so I go to a minimum security place, and they have something that they offer that's more like school release as opposed to like work release. And so that's how I end up getting to go to college.
Wow.
Through that. Yeah.
Wow. So that whole process, man.
I wasn't going at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what did you learn about Porter, or what did you learn about PJ while you were going through that process?
It was disheartening to have to confess to my grandfather what I had done, like, you know, who I had become. How was that even possible? But then I think, you know, being there, I got involved in like a Bible talk, and I realized that just at that young age that, man, for what all I had done, I was going to hell. Like, you know, I was out of their house, or had been out of their house long when I think I was 19, you know, going to school there, and just realized that, man, I'm, you know, that's where I'd be going. And I would have earned that, you know, based on the lifestyle that I had lived.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I learned.
And, you know, I'm sure it helped you just having that solid foundation from home, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and the only reason I say that is because, you know, sometimes it's like, my mom used to say this, son, there's some stuff you won't understand till you're about 30, you know.
Yeah.
And it was her way of saying, I'm telling you so that you will have something to come back to. You know, there's some things that I'm telling you, it don't make sense now, but it'll make sense later.
Yeah.
And even with parenting, she would say, son, there's some things you won't understand until you have your own.
Yeah.
You know, just having her worried or coming up missing for days and not answering my phone and not calling back. I cannot imagine now not knowing where one of my children are. But so I had to like literally apologize like for putting her through that, because, you know, when you're doing your thing, man, you don't want to even hear that voice.
Right.
You know, you want to stay with what you're doing. So, you know, that's why I said the foundation that you got from grandparents and those things at an early age, it probably helped you more than you knew you would need to help.
Oh, it
at
helped
that
me a
point.
lot. It
Yeah.
didn't. It didn't stop me though. I was more like a recidivist than that, because I finished college.
Yeah.
Thankfully, my grandfather died while I was in college, so that was tough to make it through that. I was 95. I finished in 97. My oldest daughter was born. Came back, went to work, and I don't know, you want me to keep?
Yeah, I want you to go, man.
Was a little disenchanted because the degree that I had, they were making more at the chicken plant. So I had to get 2 jobs just to do that. And
like, I know how to make some money.
and so I did that for a minute, but I found myself back in the street even with a college degree though.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, man.
and that was a whole nother ride, you know, and so fortunate to not have gotten in trouble with that. You know, that lasted longer than it should.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing though. You know, I talked to several guys who was like, I can't take the pay cut. It's like, I'd rather take the risk than take the pay cut.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Or
they try it legit, and then it's like, and this is what I know. I know what I'll, you know, and I know what comes with it. You know, that type of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I know how it happened, but it was weird how it did. Because I was like, more like on a consulting basis with somebody trying to tell them what to do. And next thing
I never heard it put that way. I was a consultant. I never heard it put that way.
Yeah.
I get it. A consulting fee, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk you through this, but it's gonna cost you a little something. I got you.
Yeah.
So how long did you do that, and then what was the next step?
Like a decade.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 years.
Real close.
Real close, huh?
My children were born. In the midst of that, I mean, I never involved my children in that.
Yeah.
But I could have been taken
Yeah.
from them.
Yeah. So talk to us about that, man. So children being born in the midst of, you still kind of out there.
Well, I wanted to ultimately, like, I had my oldest daughter for her first 2 years. I was taking care of her, and let her mother go back to school. And so that was supposed to be for 2 years. I wanted to go to law school, and
Okay.
so I'm making this money, and I probably had enough to have gone on, but you kind of get caught up, and I don't think I got as caught up as far as I could have.
Mm-hmm.
There are parameters, but still, nevertheless, I probably bought some rims when I could have bought a annuity,
Right.
some stuff like that,
Right. Right.
So that last, I think I did some decent things with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it still was what it was. Like I said, I could have been gone. My children have later heard. I mean, I'm open with them about
Right.
what it was, or they would hear about it later as they're adults, and I don't hide that from them. But yeah, I think God was just like, because I had known God, and in essence, kind of fell away to do that. And He was like, "Man, either you stop or I'm gonna stop you."
Mm-hmm.
And I was a full-grown adult at that point,
Right.
paying bills and taking care of family at that point.
Yeah. So you had these babies. Are you thinking like, I got to make this money, or you thinking I got to get out of this?
It's kind of both. Initially, it was like to get enough money to not have to work for 3 years to go to law school, because that's one thing people say. Obviously, there are programs now where you can go and work and all those different things, but back then, I took the LSAT and everything. I just never went.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah. How does that change you to know now, man? I brought life into this world.
well, I definitely made different decisions because of the children, or because of having already gotten in trouble before, so I knew what getting in trouble was like and going too far. But it was, ultimately, that was still really, really stupid.
Yeah.
Like I could have done it 100 different ways. So I definitely don't want to glamorize that.
Yeah, and I respect that too. And we definitely don't want to glamorize it, but I think it's important to there's those who are watching who can relate. And sometimes that decade that you have, that was in your past. Sometimes they're in it right now. They're in year 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And they're watching us, and now it's like, it makes them think differently. So it's not to glamorize it, but certainly to those who can relate, those who, may connect with, and they can make some different decisions.
Yeah.
Say, of course, if Porter came through it, then, man, I may not have, that person may not have 10 years.
Correct.
You get caught up in year one.
Yeah.
So. That's
let me piggyback off that. So I got a pastor, Pastor Simmons, and he trains dogs as well, and we had some different dogs.
I just talked to him on my way here.
Okay.
Yeah, we was just on the phone.
Yeah.
Today.
So he was training some dogs that I had, and he saw the wear on me. I had a cousin that had gotten in trouble, and so it was a lot on me at that time, and I didn't even know him that well then. And so I'm walking up because he's got the dogs at his place, and he talks. Long story short, he's like, "Hey, I want to pray for you." You see that stuff, and I'm like, "Well, like, what are you gonna pray for?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need no knot snatched to me. Like, I want to land on my own terms.
Yeah.
So, I just think about that. That stuck out to me. I even shared that with him. Like, hey, I just can't agree for you to pray about any and everything. Like,
Right.
at all costs, by any means for me to quit. Nah,
Yeah,
I don't need that.
I don't want that
I
one.
don't want that one.
Yeah, that'd be a little rough ride right there.
Right.
I can't say amen to that.
Right, yes.
Yeah, got it, man. So you do this 10, what brings you out of that season? What
Well, just
what is the
knowing,
consulting business?
Like I was fine at that point. I did, like, there was other things going on in the street, or people run off with money or exorbitant amounts of money, and it got me to the point where I'm saying, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to still stay as calm about this money, and so like you can't be a hustler and a gangster, like one or the other,
Right.
And so it was just like that and God and me wanting to, knowing that I needed to be a different example, and that I had heard the truth and all those things, and I can't follow God and do that.
Yeah.
Like, this impossible.
Right.
So I had to, he had my heart soft enough at that point with some of the things that were going on for me to be able to say, if my lights are off, I'm fine with being away from that. Like, I'm fine with that. Because at that point, I'm in the dark anyway. Because I'm not with him.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. So what's the next move? Because we looking for jobs. We're relocating. What we're doing? We just
I
trying
kind
to
of do
figure it
some
out.
own business because I can't see myself tied into a job. I should have went to work.
Yeah.
But now we did some different business ventures, some vending machines. But I should have gone to work I guess the most pivotal thing was actually being able to go to church then, because I'm not one to really play.
Yeah.
Like, I can't go in there if I know I'm waiting on, I'm getting right out to do that. Like, I just wasn't wired like that,
Right.
built like that. So I was really studying the Bible, and getting rebaptized and even baptizing my wife at that point. So now it's different than whatever God has us to do.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. But I mean, I had a degree, so I could go to work.
Yeah. You got some options.
Yeah.
That was. I love to hear that, man. There's nothing like having your own personal walk. You know what I mean? There's nothing like authentic believers. You said, man, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do this. But yeah, I love that, and I think that puts you in a position to, follow after what the Lord has for you. When you're authentic, you're sincere. Like you said, if I'm in the dark, so be it. I'm ready to come on this side, and I'm gonna walk this thing out. So So where are you now, man? Catch us up to speed and what you're doing and what you've been doing.
Several things. I mean, I've taught school. I've used my psychology degree, so to speak. At this point,
You've been over here analyzing me, man, the whole time. No, I'm just playing with you, man.
not without analyzing myself.
Hey, most of the psychology degree, man, sometimes they analyze everybody. You know what I mean?
Only to realize that we're all
I was gonna
the
ask you
same.
when the cameras goes off, like, what's wrong with me? No, I'm just playing.
So I mean, I do some real estate on a daily basis. I work with a moving company. I partner with them.
Okay.
So I have a LLC where they kind of hire me, subcontract me out for that, because that's something daily, and get paid weekly as opposed to real estate that can be, feast or famine sometimes. And then I'm working on an organization that I want to start. This is my passion called. So I've written a book or two, and it's called that Fatherhood Life.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
man. You still hustling. You just doing it right, boy. You got his hands.
I guess so.
Yeah, you just switching that thing up. I'm listening to you like, yeah, he still got the hustle on him.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, still making it happen. Talk to us about that, man. That fatherhood life.
So,
We like that around here.
absolutely. So, this shirt, when I have it on, people generally, I don't know if you can see it or not, but they generally say, well, did a child draw it? And I'm like, yeah, me. So up here, we aspire to wear the dad crown. So that's why it has the dad. We got our I's dotted, our T's crossed, and this says that.
Yeah.
We have a nose for fatherhood.
Yeah.
Fatherhood's written all over his face.
Yeah.
And he speaks life. And so life is an acronym for what we want to do. Is called locate, identify, facilitate, and encourage.
Okay.
And in that, we want to locate forsaken children. And there's no age limit for that. That can be from 4 to 94. Identify their legitimate fathers. facilitate formal introductions, and then encourage these men to redeem their children in both word and deed. And the end result is fixing like some incomplete birth certificates where dads haven't, because just feel like when the children aren't claimed, that's a problem. And it's, you feel rejected. It's all those different things, and it's ultimately to bring them back. So that's what we want to do.
I love that, man. And you talk about that with such passion. It just rolls out, you know. So they say our passion comes out of our pain, that type of thing. So what was the thing that turned the switch on for you to say, man, I need to hit this dad lane right here? You know, it was a reflection of your life and granddad and dad and the streets and all of that?
Yeah, the culmination of all of that. I end up working at Head Start, even being with Pastor Simmons. Like, I didn't know there was a separate thing. Like, you know, you just hear about ministry. And I think years ago we weren't dividing ministry up or feeling like it could be in different segments.
Yes.
And still get to God, as opposed to it's just the word of God and nothing else.
Church Sunday morning, that's it.
Yeah. So to be around him, he was doing that, and then simultaneously I was working at Head Start.
Okay.
And so I was involved in what was parenthood, parent involvement, fatherhood. And then I've always coached.
Yeah.
And so I would always have the children's birth certificate, so to speak. I would be the ones with that. And then even at Head Start, I was doing that by signing them in. And so I just started seeing the pattern that these birth certificates were not signed. So it wasn't that the fathers were just gone after. They were absent before the children got there, and hence weren't on the birth certificate. And I had one young lady come in. The little boy looked so much like his father. I knew who his daddy was, like, see him. Now, I don't know if the father ended up not being there. I don't know the circumstance. I didn't ask her. But she had named the child after him, like Junior or the third. But then the father's name wasn't on there. And that was just the wildest thing to me to imagine. Like, I can't say she did it. Maybe he wasn't at the hospital.
Right.
But to just envision that you give him his name, but the father's not on there, just really seemed crazy to me.
Yeah. Wow, man. Yeah. Man, that sounds like an amazing work, though. You know, and I guess you don't think about that, the importance of that. Yeah. Like you said, feeling validated, feeling claimed. So you've written a book. Tell us about the book.
So the first book, there's a series, because in the book I promised that I'm going to start an organization that fixes these things, right? But the first one is called She Ain't Know Her. And so it's because she ain't know her father. And so
I saw the cover. I said, now, how you pronounce this? Because we be having some names, so you know what I mean?
Well, and we do.
We
and
do.
That might be somebody's name anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So
we do that.
So when you told me how you pronounce it, I said, oh, I got it. I got you,
So, and the characters, they resemble their identities, you know, whether they need to move past that or just as a description. So it's said in that, because that's how we are when we really don't know who we are, you know, we don't let God speak to us about who we are. You know, and then we have to live down some names. You know, I have to leave from PJ to Porter.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think we all have to change. You see it all through the scripture, man. Names change.
Right.
Lord's like, let me change your name, man. They call you something different, call you based on your purpose, you know, what I have put inside of you, that type of thing. So I couldn't let you leave the podcast without you pouring a little bit, man, just from the steps that you've walked in, and maybe some guy who's watching us right now and just needs some encouragement, or, you know, just another voice to help him understand he can make it. And if you just look in the camera, man, and say whatever you feel led to say.
Well, I think just despite whatever you've gone through, you know, just to know that God loves you, He has a purpose for you, and it's bigger than you. It can be born out of your pain, and not to be to go ahead and be a leader, not to be afraid of whatever your authentic self is, you know, and just be okay with that. Surround yourself with people that celebrate you being that person or whatever that different person is, and separate yourself from other people that don't want to see you transform or transfigured. Separate yourself from them. And we love y'all. Whatever we can do to help, let us know.
Wow. Wise words spoken, man. So we can have a little something for you, man. Okay. I know you're making an impact, but it's nothing like hearing it, man, especially from those who you love and those you're connected to. So I want you to check this out and just take a listen.
Okay.
You all may know Porter as author of Shinoa, founder of that Fatherhood Life, friend. To me, he's Dad. Intentional, steady, cycle breaker.
I would definitely say one way my father-in-law has made a huge impact on my life is just through the intentionality aspect. I don't think I know a more intentional person.
Through our countless conversations and by your example, I am a better father today as you continue to help me with my patience and understanding.
What you thinking, man? How did it make you feel? What's your thoughts on all of that?
I barely made it out of it so far as a tear.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that sometimes we don't realize it's like you in the game, so you can't really reflect on what you're doing because you're still playing. So to hear people, it's definitely a blessing to get that affirmation and confirmation, because you know what you're trying to do, but you don't necessarily know if it's hitting the mark like it needs to.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful. I don't know. That's a real treat to come here and get that, as opposed to just talking like that's quite a gift that y'all are giving me. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Man, we need to hear it, Yeah, like you said, we're doing it, but hearing it, man, it makes all the difference. So, yeah, I'm glad that you were blessed by it.
Yeah.
Good, man. We appreciate you, Mr. Porter, for being with us today, man, on fatherhood, man. We really value things that you shared, man, and excited, and it's a blessing to see how the Lord is using you in so many ways and see your life, man, the direction that it's headed. So thank you again for being here.
Amen.